I am without a doubt a bibliophile, a bookworm, a reader. There are so many great books out there, and I am often reading. You'll often find me reading if I get a spare moment. Well, today I would love to share with you 5 of my favorite picture books. Hi and welcome to Learning Life. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I really hope that you enjoy this video, and if you do, share it or subscribe so that you can just be part of this Learning Life family. Well, I want to share with you some of my favorite books. I adore books, children's books in particular. I have always sort of collected them, and I know that there are so many books that I actually haven't even read yet, and that's like, oh my goodness. Yes, I'm a book snob. I will admit that I am a book snob. I feel that there are some books out there that probably should just never have been published. And does that sound judgmental? Yes, it does. And yes, yes, it is. You know what? I get that the publishing world is competitive and they have quotas, and sometimes it's about people you know. And you know what? I know it's hard. I've written 2 children's books myself for fun, and I've been sort of scouting some of the smaller publishing houses and agents, and it's competitive and it's tough. And that's okay. But that doesn't stop me from having my criteria of what I really think is a good quality book, because I've used them while I've been teaching now with my own children and just the children that I'm around with. You know, I love being able to give books as gifts, and I want to give something that I can really stand by. So what are some of the things that I look for in books? You know what? I'm not looking for all of these things every time. There is just no way. And sometimes a book just really appeals to me, and I can't really tell you why. I just know I really like it. But I do look for text that is engaging. Like, does it have a rich vocabulary? Is it introducing new words, sort of all of those different things? Like, I don't want it to just be, well, this is your reading level and that's where it should be. I want words that are going to take me further. I love whimsy and humor, just books that maybe just are a little bit ridiculous too. I enjoy those. And I love rhyming books. And if a book is rhyming, you know what? Does the rhyme match? Does it have a good rhyming scheme? And what about its rhythm? I find that rhyme and rhythm just have to go hand in hand. And if a book just sort of falls out of its rhythm or falls out of its rhyme, I'm like, eh. And yeah, I usually put that down, but I do. I love rhyming books. I just find that they're actually really a lot easier to remember. And that's something that I do enjoy doing. And the illustrations, of course, children's picture books, the pictures have to be important. The illustrations are important. And I want ones that do engage, that connect with the story, or add those little bit extra that's just going to add a bit more to the story. And I also do love it when perhaps those illustrations are not stereotypes, that the illustrator has even thought, how can we expand this story a little bit further? I also love stories that just make you think, or question, or engage. I mean, really, this could be any books, couldn't it be? Like, Michaela, what on earth are you going on about all these different things? It is true. I think we all have our different criteria, what we're looking for in books. For my girls, it is, Mummy, will you read to me? Here's a book. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to read that one. Please don't make me read that one. But, you know, to them, it's less right now about what the book is actually about, but time with me. And I'm totally okay with that. But there is just something about some books to me that are just like, ooh, I've hooked you and I've got you. Or like when you read it to a child and they are mesmerized. I love that. When a child will just get to the end, it'll be like, whoa. So that's what I look for in a children's book. Well, are you ready? I want to share with you 5 of my favorites. This is my number 1 all-time favorite, The Story of the Little Mole Who Knew It Was None of His Business, by Werner Holtzforth. Blah, 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 blah. You should think that I'd be able to get it married to a German. Anyhow, this book actually was originally written in German. And if you're trying to find it in English, there's a couple of different titles. So I picked this one up in Australia, and I love the little sort of play on words and the nuance. Who knew it was none of his business? Here in America, it's the story of the little mole who went in search of whodunit, which, you know, is fine with me, but I like this one better. Well, yes, this is a very powerful book. This is the story of a mole who wakes up on one bright sunny day and something does a poo on his head, and he has to go off in search of it. And I love it. It's one of those little sort of ridiculous things, and I love the illustrations, and I love the way that it is written, you've got the storyline and all these little parentheses each time to give that little subtext of what's going on. Yes, this little mole goes and asks all the animals, "Excuse me, did you do this on my head?" And yes, all the animals demonstrate for us how it is that they do a poo. It's classy, isn't it? It's just everything that you want in a book. And I've used this many years in classrooms as a special reward. I've even had like 6th grade boys be like, "Please, can you read us the story of the little mole?" I even read it to my parents' Bible study group one night. You know what? It'll always be my number one. I love the story of the little mole. Another favorite, The Crown on Your Head by Nancy Tillman. I do love her books. Her illustrations, they are fantastic. This book is special. We call our girls the Twincesses. And a friend gave us this book about the crown. And even when they were little, you'd say, "Where's your crown?" And they would touch up here. Just her rhyme, her imagery, not only in her written word and the encouragement that it is to children, but also the illustrations. And there's one page in this one that I just love. "I always knew just what your crown meant. It said that you were magnificent. That means you are grand from your toes to your chin. So take a deep breath and let that sink in." And so we read this regularly. I think I can actually recite the entire book, but it's just one to just show our children just how we're all different and we've all got a crown. No one's as bright and no one's as duller. It's just a crown of a different color. So The Crown on Your Head by Nancy Tillman. Actually, any of her books, check them out. And then we have both English and German. We have it in both. The Very Hungry Caterpillar, Die kleine Raupe nimmer satt. This is actually the first book that I actually can read sort of fluently because we've read it many times. Love Eric Carle, but in this one in particular, and I've taught with this book for years, I love Eric Carle's illustrations. Just simple, his use of color. I love this one because we're counting, we're going through days, this cute little caterpillar. And the girls and I enjoy getting to the page Saturday when he has to eat through everything and we try to say it all in one breath and see if we can get to the end. And because at the end, he had einen Bauchschmerzen. He had a stomach ache. Oh no. And because we all know what happens at the end when he becomes a wunderschöner Schmetterling, a beautiful butterfly. And it's funny, I was talking about this like one time with friends and they're like, "That butterfly's upside down." No, it's not. I mean, well, it could be. It's perspective, but it doesn't matter because he is beautiful. And so The Very Hungry Caterpillar, again, another classic, and we can learn a lot from it. Being Australian, you really can't be Australian without knowing Possum Magic. Possum Magic by Mem Fox with illustrations by Julie Vivas. This book, it's beautiful. My girls and I, we reread it, and it's the story of Grandma Poss making Hush invisible to protect her from the snakes in the bush. But then one day Hush wants to be visible again. And Grandma Poss finally remembers, and they go off on a grand adventure around Australia to find what it is to make Hush visible. And the girls and I, we love to read this, and we've now made it our tradition at birthdays to eat a Vegemite sandwich, a piece of pavlova, and half a lamington to make sure that the girls stay visible forever. And they do. So Possum Magic, Mem Fox. And then the last one for this video. I could go on and on, but I love the Madeline books. This is actually all of them, all in once, all in one thing. Ludwig Biermann's the Madeline books, and we've seen like TV shows now and movies. There's something about these stories. In an old house in Paris that was covered in vines with 12 little girls in 2 straight lines. And I love the way that each of the stories start with that. And Madeline, she is an out-of-the-box thinker. She is creative. She's a little mischievous. She just gets into things, and she doesn't always mean to. She's just inquisitive and exploratory. I don't know what word there, but poor Miss Clavel who has to deal with that. But I love the illustrations, which are simple in their black and white and a splash of color. Sometimes it's a little bit more detailed. Just again, the imagery of Paris and what he does in looking through, and just this plucky little girl, Madeline. I've always enjoyed her, and I've enjoyed introducing her to the girls because I'm like, I have no problems if you want to be a little bit like Madeline. Be creative, be out of the box thinker, but also have her compassionate and her caring heart. Those are some of my favorite books. What are some of yours? I would love to hear what some of your favorite books are and why. I said, this is just 5. And believe me, it was so hard to narrow down to this because so many fantastic books out there. And, I will probably talk about some others later, but yeah, I would love to hear yours. I'm always on the search for new literature, and I always love to find out why something appeals to somebody. So just drop a comment on this video or go to learningthis.life, and on the blog page, leave comments for me. Let me know your favorite books or your kids' favorite books so that we can build a great list of literature together. And let me just say, I was not paid for any of this. This is purely Michaela and her love for books, just wanting to share with you what 5 of my favorite children's books were. Thank you so much for watching.